Those Were the Days is filmed before a live internet audience.
Hello, TV fans, TV family, TV friends. We are so glad to have you here on tonight's episode of Those Were the Days, where tonight we're taking a little drive to Springfield, USA. And it's me driving the vehicle, your host, Steven, for the night. And in the car with me is my favorite passenger, Audie.
Okay, time for a little after-dinner entertainment.
Hello, Moe's Tavern, home of the world's smallest big screen TV.
Yeah, I'm looking for a friend. Last name Keebum, first name Lee.
Yeah, hang on, I'll check. Hey, guys, do I got a Lee Keebum? Yeah, no, look at the stools. Yeah, is there a Lee Keebum? Come on, somebody check the rear. Do I got a Lee Keebum?
You probably shouldn't be handling food.
Look, you little yellow belly punk. If I ever find out who you are, I'm going to stick a sausage down your throat and stick starving dogs up your butt.
I love the pre-planning. Oh, and behind me in the rear seat, kicking the mess out of it, is my other favorite passenger, Amy.
I will not forget to write an introduction. I will not forget to write an introduction. I will not forget to write an introduction.
That's amazing. Oh, and sitting in the car seat, sucking on his pacifier, we've got TVsTravis.
I've already done my intro, so
Moving right along. Well, I mean, if it wasn't obvious enough at the beginning, and with the idea of being in Springfield, we are doing The Simpsons. And you would think this would be like an episode or a series we would cover under some theme like raunchy adult comedy, or is this even fit for broadcasting cartoons? But no, we're fitting it in musical March, and we're doing that because The Simpsons had a musical episode. Can you believe it? I mean, is this the first show, by the way, I was thinking about this, that we are doing a classic TV look at that is also still currently running and creating new material?
I think we've done some that have like reboots that are currently on, but I think this is the first one that is continuously running.
Still going.
This is the first show where you're like, we're doing The Simpsons. Everybody's like, wait, is that old? Like, yeah,
it's
really.
the only show that qualifies as classic television and current television.
Yes.
Is there another show that fits that at all?
That's an excellent question. Short of like maybe a gap, are there any shows where we had like they stopped doing it for a while and came back?
Well,
I mean, you could do like Sesame Street.
Okay,
like Sesame Street, Reading Rainbow. Are they still doing Reading Rainbow?
And
they did Reading Rainbow till recently, at the very least.
They were.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Doctor Who kind of counts.
Yeah, Doctor Who.
Technically,
I guess,
yes.
sort of, yeah. That's a good point.
Because it was on, it came back, but there was a big gap there. The closest current running show I can think of that would fit our criteria of pre-2000, it's not quite there, but NCIS is still on the air, and that started in like the early 2002, I think, or something like that. So you know, it's been running nearly over 20 years, I think now.
Yeah, look, they're not going to replace a cop procedural with just another cop procedural if they're not enjoying themselves. Law and Order's a good guess. Skeezer says Law and Order. Like, sure, maybe
that's true. Yeah,
made it. So there are, but I would argue that The Simpsons being the same cast for the most part over the course of 36 seasons is impressive. Because I think we have your staple characters in a few of these shows that come and go, but like this cast has been the same as long as we can remember. Like this show is almost as old as I am. It's absolutely incredible. But as we tend to do here on Those Were the Days, let's talk a little bit about where we all come from. We've all grown up with The Simpsons in a sense. So what's our history? Audie, how about you?
So for me, it's interesting because I definitely kind of remember it being a little taboo at first, but then at some point and this is where my story goes. So at some point, other moms of friends were letting their kids watch it. So our parents were okay with it. Here's the rub. Those other friends of mine, mostly this family at the church we all grew up together with and went to, it was like the 4 boys in one family that were like the same age as me and my sister and my brother and stuff. Like we were all together, and then they had a bunch of cousins. Like they were a clan at our church, and they all watched The Simpsons religiously, to the point where like you couldn't have a conversation where they couldn't turn it back to The Simpsons somehow.
Wow.
And for that, I was like, I'm done. I'm out. No. Like, I just was like, why bother watching it when you're just gonna tell me about it anyway? So,
Oh wow.
like, so it was like one of those things where it kind of turned me off. So, but still, I know The Simpsons. I've watched plenty of it. I remember the video games back in the day.
Yeah.
You know, the arcade games, the crappy NES game, all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, you can't escape The Simpsons if you live in the United States. It's just not possible.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty much designed to caricature Western United States culture, so it's in there for sure. Amy, what's your history with the show?
So I was not allowed to watch The Simpsons. I know this will sound weird to people living today in 2024, but the Fox network was not great. And my parents working in television, my mom had very strong feelings about Fox, which I'm thankful for now. But so we were not allowed to watch The Simpsons, and like, but I mean, obviously, I have now. I mean, and I have memories of very much enjoying The Simpsons, but now for me, like, I appreciate that The Simpsons walked so Bob's Burgers could run. Like, I appreciate that very deeply. But yeah, so that was that. I have vague memories of enjoying it, but I couldn't tell you like, I started watching it at this time. And,
oh, sure. Yeah.
But yeah, like everything else, right? It's just pervasive.
Right on. Yeah, it's ingrained itself, it's woven itself into the tapestry of American pop culture.
Yep.
Travis, how about you?
So I can tell you that I started watching it early on, and definitely watched it growing up all through high school. I fell off at some point around, I don't know, season like 19 or something. Where, and even at that point, I wasn't watching it regularly, but for a long time I did. I can remember as a kid who was into sports still being annoyed at things like the Treehouse of Horrors getting preempted or moved because of NFL football, stuff like that. But no, I watched it a lot growing up. I vaguely remember that it came from the Tracy Ullman show. Like, I vaguely remember seeing shorts. I think maybe I had a friend that had HBO. We didn't have it. But seeing that, and then them getting their own series and just sort of following along with it. And, but yeah, I loved The Simpsons growing up. I loved, I played all the games too, you know, Bart versus the Space Mutants, Bart versus the World. They were terrible. But I played them anyway.
Taxi. They had a Crazy Taxi knockoff that was great. Yeah.
Simpsons Hit and Run was very good. The early NES games, not so much.
The arcade game, the beat 'em up, was fun.
Dude, yeah.
Though,
so many quarters.
Yep.
So many quarters. I stood there in roller skates just at the skating rink.
Nice.
Just playing that.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
You looked for the Simpsons arcade game or the X-Men arcade game. It was one of those two. And if an arcade had one of those two, that's where you were. That's what you were playing. Absolutely.
Yeah, they were fantastic.
So yeah, I loved the Simpsons and like so many iconic characters, and we saw a lot of them in this episode. We'll probably talk about, but it was good. It was a good show. At some point, like anything that runs long enough, it kind of started recycling itself and sort of eating its own tail. But there's even a trope of the Simpsons did it first.
Yeah.
Where like just about any joke you can think of, the Simpsons had done that joke at some point.
There was the thing about Trump being president.
I was going to
say. That was like the big one.
Some things that aren't quite a joke.
Yeah.
Years in advance.
And also, like Amy, I appreciate that the Simpsons, while not the first primetime cartoon, I mean, that's really, you know, I think that was, we talked about with the Flintstones.
Right.
But the Simpsons were the first, that subversive and kind of, especially early on, very counterculture type of show that did pave the way for, I mean, obviously Futurama, but Bob's Burgers and a lot of the Adult Swim content that came along.
Right.
Family Guy owes a ton to it. Like all of this stuff happened because The Simpsons not only worked, but worked for so long and was able to influence for so long.
Were there any other shows that were doing the like joke a week intro before that?
The closest thing I could think of is like Norm's walk-ins and Cheers. They had, you know, those came out. But like as far as the intro being changed every week, that would be expensive in live action. So I can't think of any show that was doing that.
Because like Bob's Burgers does it now. The Great North does it. Like there's a lot of them.
I mean, even watching this episode, like seeing that intro and you're like, dang, that's the same animation until we get to Bart writing the name on the board. It's like, wow. Okay.
Yeah. It's been the same forever. I mean, he's iconic.
And then they change up how they actually get in the house, or in this case, not get in the house.
I was waiting for the couch gag. The funny thing was, I had forgotten kind of about the couch gags. Like it was kind of, I knew about it, but I wasn't thinking about it when I started it. And I said, "Oh crap, what's the couch gag gonna be?" And they didn't even make it to the couch.
Can't get to the couch.
I did the exact same thing. Exactly the same. I was like, "Ooh, couch gag!" Oh,
My favorite part, and it always makes me chuckle, is "quote unquote" Maggie driving. Just that little bit.
It's
always good.
Honking the horn. Yeah, I love it.
Honking the horn, twisting.
Yeah, that intro just has so much nostalgia for me because I mean I remember seeing it forever. Like for me, my history with The Simpsons is kind of weird because my parents let me watch literally anything. Like I was one of the kids I could remember that was watching Ren and Stimpy. And I probably because my mom never watched it, but I like almost every kid I knew wasn't allowed to watch Ren and Stimpy. We had kids not allowed to watch Power Rangers because they were doing karate on the playground. And I was watching, you know, I wasn't a nut. I was doing fine. Travis is not allowed to watch Power Rangers. He's doing
no,
Kung
I was
Fu.
I was the kid doing kung fu on the playground.
My nephews did that too.
Yeah,
I was mercilessly mocked by kids in my school for that.
Oh well,
mercilessly.
Look at you now,
bastards.
F those.
Taught them.
Yeah, you really showed them who's got the microphone now, fools. Right,
that's right.
Yeah, so like I was allowed to watch a lot of stuff, but The Simpsons was in syndication when I remember turning it on. Like I think it was 93, 94, which it already been running since 89. So like it's coming up on Fox in the afternoon, like The Simpsons at 3:30 or something. And I remember coming home from school and turning it on, and I was watching it. And I remember Krusty the Clown said the word bastard on the show. And that was when my mom said, I don't think this is appropriate. Now, hold on a second, because I had watched Tremors like 14 times. And that word was said constantly. But watching a cartoon say it somehow just tweaked my mom's brain to the point where she was like, nah, I don't think so. This is probably not. There might have been more to it, but that's all I remember.
Yeah.
It is funny that that's the word you remember, though, because I had a similar experience with Back to the Future when it was running on TV. Because there's the scene in Back to the Future where he's driving away from the Libyans, and he's in the car, and the line in the movie is, let's see if these bastards can do 90. Yeah. And then he shifts. And it was running on the air. It was running on ABC. Yeah. And my mom worked for the local ABC affiliate. And I'm sitting on the floor miming being Michael J. Fox. And I'm saying this out loud. And my mom goes to work the next day telling all her coworkers that I'm saying this. And like they just think it's hilarious. Because I had no idea what that meant at the time.
Yeah,
right.
None
I didn't know that was
whatsoever.
a bad word. I said it, so I was sitting in my room because I'd watched Tremors 1,400 times with my friend Luke, and we were playing Ninja Turtles, and I was like, let's show these bastards who's boss. And my friend lost it. He's like, what did you just say? And then I basically swore off swearing for the rest of my life because he scared me to death. It's trauma. Like, it was hard for me to even say the word on this show, and it's context related. Like, it's fine. It's fine. I'm a 38-year-old man. I'm not 5 anymore. I can do things. But anyway, that was in my history beyond that was like, I played all the video games. I played the thing at the arcade. When I got a compact Presario computer in '98, I think I want to say, for Christmas, I got the computer and my parents got me a couple computer games. And one of those was the Simpsons Movie Maker. No, two of them. I got Movie Maker and I got Virtual Springfield. Not a Simpsons fan. I don't know why I have these games, but I made so many Simpsons movies with Simpsons Movie Maker. It was like, you remember when you were a kid and they had those sticker books where the stickers you could stick and unstick and like make scenes and stuff? It was basically that, but you could animate things. You get Homer running and like run him across the screen. And I made so many cartoons with the Movie Maker. And then Virtual Springfield, I just wander around clicking stuff. So I know all the characters. I know everywhere you're going to go. I know all this stuff. Never really watched the show. That is something. There's something to be said about a show that permeated to the degree that you could not watch the show and still be exposed to so much from it.
Yeah.
Without even having any context and enjoying it. Like, I mean, I got all the highlights. I understood stuff.
Yeah. It's funny. One of the rabbit holes I had to go down is like I watched the episode and I was like, okay, I gotta find inside the actor's studio.
Oh dang, yeah.
Good gosh, it's hard to find. I found just a clip, but it was enough of them just doing the character voices, and it was so much fun. Like that's one Simpsons is one of those things where I think I enjoy the making of it more than the actual show.
Sure.
Just seeing the talent behind it and like listening to Dan Castellaneta talk about where these voices came from, like Homer and what's the guy at the bar? Barney.
Oh, Barney, yeah.
Barney.
Yeah, came from Mr. Magoo in the back of his head, and he's like, I realized that's where they came from because I found these old records. I was like, that's where they came from. It's
wow,
like, good gosh, like it's not just a crash show. Like it is written and acted by such professionals.
Incredibly talented bunch. Yeah. And any voice actor stuff you can watch. There's a documentary called I Know That Voice, where you can listen.
Fantastic.
It's unbelievable. And you listen to these people, and half the time their voices come from lame impressions of other people that turn into a voice. I'm like, that's a great way to do it.
The one I always think of with that is Hank Azaria talking about Mo. And Mo is a young Al Pacino that you just add some gravel to. And you get Mo. And like listening to him or listening to Harry Shearer talk about like where they get the voices and how they get there is just amazing. And then to have that tight knit little group and they basically do everything. It's the same with like Futurama. Futurama's, you know, it's like Billy West, John DiMaggio, and Phil Lamar and Maurice LaMarche, and that's the show.
Yeah. It's just made up of such talented people. A little bit about the show. If you're unfamiliar with The Simpsons, just look around at the rock you've been hiding under, and maybe it's time to get out of there. Go see something. So it was conceived.
Hey kids, welcome to our childhood.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. This was basically the raunchiest. They're just letting R-rated TV on out there now. Tracy Ullman Show, where this came from. Short Matt Groening developed April 19th, 1987. I remember Groening I always thought it was groaning for years until I finally said properly. But was developed as a short and then into a TV show, which debuted December 17th, 1989. There have been 762 episodes, according to this Wikipedia article, which I'm suspect of because someone's got to go in there and count, like increment that
every
number
week.
every single week, which seems like a lot, but there are weird people on the internet who
I was gonna say there's somebody who's dedicated to doing that.
Yeah, they will do it. But the family is just a dysfunctional family that Groening named the characters after his own family members, substituting Bart for his own name. He thought Simpsons was a funny name and that it sounded similar to Simpleton. Which is pretty great. I mean, this guy, you could probably write a book just about his worlds because I mean, he makes two of the biggest shows ever: The Simpsons and Futurama. He's got the Disenchanted show that's on Netflix. That's fine.
Show's so good.
Yeah, I've watched a few episodes. It didn't hook me.
I love Disenchanted.
It's
probably my favorite thing that he's done. Like as much
Really?
as I love a lot of I like a lot of Futurama. But I feel like all of Disenchanted is great.
It's all
because it's
hits.
a little more compact. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not really.
Yeah.
It's not the. It's not the story of the week. Like there's plot,
Yeah.
and through lines. And so I think it doesn't have like those filler episodes, you know.
How
Yeah.
could you imagine being a guy who has not one hit animated show on the air for super long, but another hit animated show that won't die?
That they won't die.
It
Will not
won't.
die.
It's
Mhm.
just constantly resurrected because people don't want to let it go. Because it was I remember the first episode of Futurama I watched. I was sitting on the floor in my room watching it while doing math homework, going, "This is amazing," and I'm going to watch it every week. And then this was before TiVo, so you had this. It was a scheduled
You
appointment.
had to like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I did not hold that appointment. I never watched a single episode after it, despite going, "This is amazing." I couldn't handle it. I was always just turning on Stars and just movies would roll all day long. That's how I did it. But yeah, The Simpsons. I don't know what to say about it other than it's fantastic, and we can get into the meat of our musical episode if everybody's ready to go. We'll go ahead and head down this road. So this episode is called Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, or annoyed grunt, depending on where you look it up. The dough, it's either dough or annoyed grunt, which I think is pretty amazing. This is season 8, episode 13, and it's kind of got some plays on Disney, which I thought was funny because I watched
it's
it on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Just-
I did realize that's another thing,
That's
right? How many of us say dough?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like all the time.
Uh-huh.
Constantly.
Yeah.
You don't
I
even
never-
think about it.
I never put together how much I get my woohoo from
Yeah.
Homer more than anything else.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah.
That's another one. Yeah.
Homer has influenced a lot of our
Mhm.
excited
Mhm.
moments and our worst moments.
I was gonna say the whole meme of him backing into the bushes now.
Dude,
It's so good.
Everywhere.
I use it.
There's
all the time.
there's a fiber artist I follow, and she like did an embroidery Homer in the bush, and the bush is like thousands upon
Mm.
thousands of these little tiny knots. Like it's just like
Yeah,
such
jeez.
dedication.
Unbelievable. Yeah, that and Grandpa Simpson walking into the strip club and seeing Bart. At
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like
that-
looping.
Yeah.
I'll,
Turn
I'll do
around.
that all the time. Like that's
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, never mind. I'm out.
Never mind.
So great. So the storyline for this episode is Marge Simpson is starting to lose her hair due to the stress of running the Simpsons household. The family decides to get a nanny, and then Shary Bobbins shows up. Or Bobbins? Is it Bobbins or Robbins?
It's Bobbins.
Shary
It's
Bobbins.
Mary Bobbins. Yeah.
I kept
It
writing.
is not Mary Poppins. Not at
Right,
all. No.
not even close.
Totally original character.
Totally
Very
original.
different. She just happens to be a Victorian British nanny who flies in on an
Mhm.
umbrella. But I mean, there are lots of
Yeah.
them, you know? I kept writing
and I loved
Robbins and thinking Bobbins. I'm so annoyed I had it right in my head, but didn't put it on the paper
Well,
the right way.
Also, that joke that they use all the time in The Simpsons to avoid getting sued. Like
Mhm.
my favorite is the Treehouse of Horrors, where it's like he's got the Shannon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Don't you mean the Shining? He's like, oh boy, do you want to get sued?
So
Lives in
great
my
how
head
they
rent
play
free.
on
Isn't there
that.
one? Isn't there one? It's like I want to say it's probably a Krusty the Clown thing, or maybe it's Itchy and Scratchy. It's like no, it's a wholly individual character, like Ricky Rouse or Mottled Muck.
That was in
Uh-huh.
this.
They did
yeah.
that. That
Was
was
that
in
this
this
one?
episode.
Okay, it
That was
wasn't
in
Yeah.
this one, yeah.
Yep,
Okay.
that was this episode.
I don't know how I spaced.
It is. It is incredibly ironic that that it's now
It is
owned
on
by Disney.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
pretty great. So I the intro pops up, and the first thing I could think is like, wow, this looks old. Like I don't remember it looking as old as it does. But when I saw Bart skateboarding, all I could think was that NES game and how real
Yeah.
it looked to me when I rented it from Blockbuster, and how I know I could never go back and play it because it was legit. I remember it was cartoon realistic. Like it was like playing the show. It's not. I guarantee it. It's very different. Now the Simpsons. By the way, the Simpsons beat 'em up game. There's a barcade nearby that had it. You know, you can go drink and play video games because we're
Yeah, yeah,
millennials
Sure.
and that's what we can do now.
This
with
is
our
what we
money.
do.
Yep.
Yeah, it's
Uh-huh.
fine.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we had a work event there, so they gave us like a whole cup full of quarters, and you could just. I beat the thing. I sat there with another guy
Nice.
and whooped it after years and years of toil and lost money. I used work cash to get it done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And look-
Because
What
one of
that
us-
tells me is you just needed. The reason you couldn't beat it as a kid was you couldn't drink beer while you were playing.
That's
you
exactly
needed
right.
That.
It was the beer, not the coins. I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
And
didn't
one of us didn't think it was a trope. It was like, I'm gonna start a bar when I want to, and did it. And that's why we have barcades.
That's
Yeah.
hey, you're probably right. Yeah, I'm gonna have a bar and I'm gonna put video games in there. But yeah, I will say that when you get to about like level 7 of the Simpsons game, you're bored and you don't want to play anymore. But you got to push through because you've been trying to see the end since you were 7. It's time.
Yeah.
So it was fine. It was fine. So yeah, they didn't make it to the couch. We had the couch gag. We get Krusty the Clown in this episode. The Simpsons sitting down eating a TV dinner, watching Krusty the Clown, and I came to the realization, Krusty's animated model is just Homer in clown makeup. Like it's like they redrew Homer and just put some hair on him and stuff. And I was like, okay, you know, why work real hard? We got this does the job. Very different voice. So they're watching with TV dinners, which made sense to me. Bart, this is when we start getting Marge has to go do some stuff. As Marge gets up to go get herself something, can I get anything for anyone else? You know, while I'm up, or goes to get Bart some milk.
Yeah, she goes to get Bart's like, can I have a drink? And she's like, can't you go get it? Never mind. I'll just die.
Dude,
like,
that
oh my
is
God.
real life. Like, I have a child. And I'm like, what? He's like, Daddy, we gave me some water. Go get your own water. No, it's fine. I'll just sit here.
Never mind.
Okay, you can, and I'll just sit there stubbornly. Even if I want to get up, I'll just sit there. I'll be like, no, you gotta go get your own water, dag nabbit.
Problem is, I'm the same way, but there's no one's gonna go get it for me. I am just gonna die.
I'm just gonna sit here and dehydrate. There's nothing I can do. So they end up Lisa finds up finding a long hair, Marge's 6-foot long hair in her soup, which leads to thinking, oh
Never
no,
mind, I'll just eat around it.
I'll just eat around it. They end up finding Marge's hair everywhere. Marge's hair is falling out because she's stressed.
One thing,
yeah,
real quick. The whole Krusty bit was funny.
Oh, that killed me.
But when he did the mad about shoe joke, I just about spit out what I was drinking.
And it's so good.
Oh my gosh.
It's so good because then he's like, you didn't like that. You're gonna hate the NYPD shoe.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Because it's basically the same thing. Because when you're a sketch show and you have made the giant shoe prop, guess what?
Yeah.
You're
it's getting
used for everything.
It's gonna happen.
What killed me in that sequence was when he walks out and he's like, I'm glad to be back at the Apollo. And the Apollo Theater, and they turns around and KKK. Oh no.
I must have been writing a note when that happened. I'm gonna have to go back and watch it.
It was
again.
right at the beginning.
I swear it's blink and you miss it with this stuff sometimes. I'll be making notes and I'm like, oh, I didn't even see this. So we also get the Gerald Ford cameo because all the other good presidents turned us down. That was pretty good.
Yep.
Marge's hair. This is where we get our first song about Marge losing her hair everywhere, and it had a very Mamas and the Papas vibe to it. Like
It's so good.
60s. I was digging it. I was good. And Homer being the sweet Homer's a good guy. You know, he's redeemable to some degree.
Yeah,
he's well intentioned.
He has good intentions. Yeah, he just doesn't always work out for him. Because when Marge tells him she's losing her hair, you know, of course he screams, which is not what you would want to do. But then, you know, he says, "I'll teach you to comb it over so no one can tell, just like me." It's like really sweet thing to try to do, but no.
But
the moment in the montage where she has the hairdryer and just blows a chunk of her hair out, that one also got me quite.
But the sight gag of Marge thinking about herself with Homer's hair too.
Homer's hair is.
Oh my god.
Or Homer's lack
As someone whose hair does fall out when I have like real stressful time, I was like, okay, all right, this is very triggering. Oh no!
Feel it.
Oh no!
It can happen.
Save me, Shary Bobbins.
So Marge goes to the doctor to kind of figure out what's going on. I can't remember the doctor's name. Someone of y'all know? Hipper.
Dr. Hibbert.
Hibbert. Okay. Yeah, so he says there's no physical reason she's losing her hair, and it may be stress because she gets a phone call from Bart asking for something at the doctor's office.
A glass of milk.
And Lisa.
And Lisa, that's right. Yeah. So
Mrs. Simpson,
it
there's a
just
phone call for
falls
you on
out.
line 1 and line
And
2.
so she needs somebody to come help relieve her stress. So they decide, like, we need a nanny. And the family, being as good as they can be for who they are, Lisa says she'll give up buying Malibu Stacy clothes so we can afford it. Bart took up and then gave up smoking to save money, to which Homer gave him cash for. Until Lisa was like, wait, that's not how that works.
Because giving up smoking is one of the hardest things you can do.
Mhm.
Yeah. Don't criticize him. He tried hard. So Homer gave him money. Lisa calls him out, gets it back. Homer decides it's time to get a nanny.
Because what is Homer giving up?
He's giving up his Civil War reenactment.
Civil War Reenactment Society.
Right, which
That's
goes
right.
to Moe's bar, where they are all standing around in their Civil War getup to talk about their week, and then they have their Stonewall Jackson. Just isn't working out, and it's Apu who bursts out and says, "The South shall come again," which just man, Apu has been a character of controversy for the last like 15, 20 years. I think we were okay with him for a long time, and then we figured out like it's actually really messed
well, like
up.
a lot of jokes, we some of us white privileged cis people were okay with it, and then we realized, oh wait, the rest of the world was not okay with it.
Oh, that actually
Just
is
got away with it.
Yeah, that hurts your feelings. That's not what we should be doing. But yeah, like it's funny because you don't see that in shows that end. Like this is now spanning generations. You know, like this show has been around for so long that it has to discover the way society changed and stuff as it goes, instead of just looking back at it and going, "Wait, yeah, look at us then." They're like, "Oh, look at us now still." What do we do?
Plus,
We're still doing
I think like for us, right? Like when we were kids, it wasn't that was like a racial thing. That
No.
was just a poo. You know,
Yeah, right. It was
just a
like that
silly
was just him.
Mhm.
That was just his thing.
Yeah, and they're
Now
not the
it's
only
like,
show that did that, because you had it was Hank Azaria voicing him for one thing, doing a stereotypical Indian.
Yeah.
You go back and look at Short Circuit, and you got Fisher Stevens playing Dr. Ben Javari. Like that doesn't fly. Even though, to be fair,
also has been
very
like come about and apologetic about it.
Sure.
Understanding.
To be fair to Fisher
he's
Stevens, he spent a lot of time with an Indian family practicing for that part. So it's like,
the
man put in the hours. You know,
did
he
due
tried real
diligence.
hard.
He admits he needed the job. He needed the money.
Sure.
He says, he's like, I was young. They offered me a role. I said, sure, I can do that. He's like, would I do that now? No. But at the time, yes.
Yeah. It was just it's a victim of circumstance. And then Cleveland, voiced by a white guy on Family Guy. Like that's all stuff that's happened. And you're like, well, how do you wrestle with that? We're not going to wrestle with that here. I just felt like it was worth bringing up.
Yeah.
You know, we're not going to solve.
And I mean, Hank Azaria even made a 180 on it and was like, I'm going to stop this, and has had a couple of interviews where people were like, dang, he actually did learn and has turned around on it. It's like, people are human and it happens.
Look, I like the Dolly Parton approach. Like, if I'd known it bothered anybody, I would have changed it forever ago. Thanks for telling me. What's the deal? Versus I won't dig my heels in and never change. How about that?
Yeah.
Right.
So we get to the nanny interviews, which has tickled me to death. The Mrs. Doubtfire joke with Mrs. Pennyfeather, who shows up. And Homer's convinced that it's a man in drag. We got to take him out, So he just chased him down the street, and Marge's like, we can't do that every time.
With every
alarmingly topical.
Yeah.
It was an alarmingly topical joke.
Yeah.
Right.
Mrs. Pennyfeather.
Like,
Mrs. Pennywiggle was another one. Just constant.
But that was the funny thing. Like after he did it to Miss Pennyfeather, Marge was like, we can't keep doing that. I was like, okay. I heard that joke.
Oh yeah. So Homer gives her his undivided attention. I'm trying to follow my notes to remember what all happened, and of course I can't remember all of them. The kids sing the song.
Because they're gonna do the Like
nanny they
the scene
want.
from Mary Poppins where it's like, here's what we're looking for.
Yeah, here's what we're
Except
looking for.
Homer's undivided attention.
That's right. It's the cow playing the fiddle, which also looked like an
Yeah.
old Disney cartoon, which kind of made me chuckle a
Yep.
little.
Oh yeah.
Very
Yeah.
Steamboat Willie.
I love the way that Bart said, "I need a nanny who lets me get away with moiter." That just tickled me.
Yeah.
Moida.
Moida. And Homer, might I add, no fat chicks. Like, oh my gosh, the lyrics to these songs are incredible. They're incredibly coarse, but it's The Simpsons in 1993 or whenever this was.
Yeah.
Absolutely astonishing. Anyone but Grandpa was the conclusion of that song. Any name,
Yeah.
because Grandpa's like, I'll do it. They're like, anyone but him. I love Grandpa Simpson. I love any time he shows
He's
up
so
in
good.
anything. He's just my favorite. So in the midst of them asking for this nanny, Shary Bobbins comes flying in on her umbrella and gets stuck in the power lines. Again, very Simpsons. So she shows up. This is where we get the Mary Poppins joke. Oh, just like nope, definitely not like that one. Just different, like Ricky Rouse and Donald Muck. Definitely not say Mary Poppins. They interview Shary Bobbins. Homer wants to know if has bad habits that he's trying to break. No bad habits, as he scratches his butt and chugs milk from a carton. I love that Bart swings in and yells "Pop quiz, hot shot." Made me laugh a lot. He asked Shary Bobbins, what would she do if she walked in and found him reading an article or reading his Play Dude magazine? She says, "I'd make you read every single article in Play Dude magazine," which is the old. If I caught you smoking cigarettes, I would shove you in the closet and make you smoke 6 packs all at once.
Combined with the I get it for the articles.
Yes, combined makes you read every single article.
I loved it because I would make you read every single article, including Norman Mailer's about his diminished libido and just Homer. Oh, she's good.
Bart immediately was not into it anymore. Like, oh man. So she slides up the staircase on the banister, which is a very Mary Poppins thing. But in the Simpsons fashion, her butt is basically waxed the banister. They can see themselves in it. And this is where we get this wonderful song about just doing barely enough to get by to clean
cutting
your room.
corners.
Cutting corners. I laughed so hard.
Say the words, even a half-assed job.
That's a half-assed job. I laughed so hard when she said, "Don't pout, don't sob, just do a half-assed job." That was just top notch. I just loved it so much.
Then icing on the cake. It's the American way.
Yeah.
Yes, the American. If you cut every corner, you'll have more time to play. It's the American way. It's so good. And it looked like how I used to clean the room. My mom would tell me to clean the room. Like everything went in the closet or under the bed. Yeah, I remember me and my friend Luke would just shove everything wherever we could, which is more than like kids are doing these days. Like, oh, it's the playroom. It's just messy. Playroom. My playroom was the floor in front of my bed. I had like 6 feet. You know, I'm just saying. I walked uphill both ways with no shoes in the snow. They go to the park. We get Nelson, who appears. It's always good to have a ha in your show every once in a while. I don't know if he laughed in this one because Shary Bobbins was talking to him about something. I just wrote Nelson
because he brought her
in all
flowers.
caps. That's right. Because she had straightened him out to some degree. And Willie the groundskeeper has his own moment in the sun doing Maniac.
It was so good. I loved
with the
that.
one-man band.
The one-man band, Willie doing Maniac, and then like leaning back on his drum on his back and pulling the water, just like Flashdance. It's just
because this is when The Simpsons is at its best, is the layers of jokes there, right? Because he's doing the one-man band, which is Dick Van Dyke and Mary Poppins.
Yep.
Right.
And Flashdance and all of that, like with it being Groundskeeper Willie. It's just so well done. I loved that. Ton. And then to follow it up with the joke of they were engaged to be married before she got her sight back.
Okay, but it isn't canonically Isn't groundskeeper good?
Like,
Groundskeeper Willie, isn't he like hunky?
He's
yeah,
ripped.
when he rips
That-
his shirt
that's
off,
what I'm
he's-
saying.
Yeah.
When his shirt's off. Until
All
it
right.
comes off, he's just normal.
All right.
But he can still be the ugliest man in Glasgow.
That's
Mhm.
true.
Yeah, which is
That's
saying
fine.
something.
But like that joke, it's good to see you. That's not what you said
You
the
said
first
that.
time you saw me.
Oh.
That was so good. Oh, geez, what even is going on? Okay, so Mr. Burns, he comes
Oh,
along.
yeah.
We get to see Mr. Burns and Smithers. And Shary Bobbins says, you can't not have a good time when you're flying a kite. And he takes a hold of it. And he's all happy. Mr. Burns happy is not a sound I expected. You know, not really what I was hoping for. The little giggle. And then his umbrella gets struck by lightning. Or not his umbrella, his kite gets struck by
His
lightning.
kite.
Yeah.
And he asks
hits the
Smithers,
ground.
"What's that sound?"
What's
Yeah.
the strange
That's
sensation
your
in my
heart
chest?
beating.
Your heart beating again.
Oh, that takes me back.
And that's a character pair you forget. It's the one person doing both voices, so he's
Right.
essentially just
Oh,
talking to
wow.
himself back and forth.
I had
Yeah,
no
it's Harry
idea.
Shearer doing both
Yeah.
Smithers
Uh-huh.
and Burns.
I love him.
Again,
really
the
good.
inside the actor's studio and seeing him do it for real, and just being able to see them do that, like just turn characters, and you
Mhm.
realize just how freaking talented they are.
Yeah, that's amazing. I didn't even know. And it's funny how many of these voice actors for this show that actually have done plenty of live action stuff. Because Harry Shearer's been in
Yeah.
plenty of stuff. Hank Azaria's
Yeah.
been plenty of stuff. Yardley Smith, we saw her in what did we see her in early on?
Oh yeah.
The kids
Oh.
show, the investigators where they learned stuff. It was during our educational TV deal. Audie, it was yours, wasn't it? Your pick? For the
Yeah, and I'm
kids
trying to think.
There's a
Car-
radio station.
Carmen San Diego? No.
No. It was the other.
No,
The other police.
let me scroll up.
I shouldn't have done this
oh,
without being prepared.
Good. It's good. It's not filled in on the grid.
nice.
We're so good at spreadsheet. I need some
Okay,
training.
I'll go to-
Don't worry about it. Look, if you were there, you could tell us what episode it was that
Yeah.
Yardley Smith appeared in. I remember it being a show I'd never seen before, but I loved it because there was a bear or something. I don't remember. It doesn't matter. We're talking about The Simpsons. And this we're getting to things like where Shary Bobbins is getting ready to leave. Grandpa Simpson actually gets a hold of her umbrella and flies off. That made me happy. Oh no, we switched
wait.
umbrellas.
Yeah.
No, she was on the episode of Square One.
That's
One,
the
that's
right.
what it
She
was.
was
show,
on
Square One.
the
There's a gorilla.
not the Maltese
The
Falcon.
escaped gorilla.
Yes.
Yeah, in the detective
Yes.
show.
MathNet.
Yeah. MathNet.
MathNet. Yeah.
That's the one. MathNet. That's the one with the
Yeah.
escaped gorilla.
Mm-hmm.
I had completely forgotten. Yeah. Okay. Well, good. I'm glad we were able to solve that before we had to get
I got
emails.
there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Close one.
We solved it without math this time.
We did. So in the latter half of the episode, we're starting to learn that as Shary Bobbins sticks around, because she leaves for a grand total of 3 seconds before Homer is choking out Bart and goes back inside, and it has become an absolute dumpster fire. Shary Bobbins can never leave. And she's expected to do basically everything Marge was doing at this point, and they're not treating her as nice. There's a handful of jokes in here that I have. Oh, I missed all the stuff about the jukebox and buy me a beer, $2 a glass.
Oh,
Please
yeah.
help me.
Yeah.
The bedtime
The
song.
bedtime song
Yeah.
with Barney. Oh, I can't believe I almost fixed that. Who am I
Uh-huh.
kidding? I'll drink turpentine. What's the best thing I heard from Barney?
Yeah. And then Bart like, "Can I be a booze hound?" And Homer's like, "Not till you're 15."
Yep, that was right. And so they basically get all nice and they're eating a wonderful dinner of blood pudding and brain kidney pie. And Grandpa goes flying off on the broom, and that's when she starts to leave and everything goes sideways. They're sitting at the couch to use their TV dinners again while she's going back and forth to the kitchen. And the German guy with the Oscar Mayer song, but it's German,
Yes.
just killed me because that's
The,
German.
yeah, the not Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, it's because the
Which-
second word is just amazing. I didn't even bother to write it all down. I should have.
No.
No. But like the running gag with Rainer Wolfcastle is
Yeah.
always great in The Simpsons.
Mhm.
It was
He's so
wonderful. And then the gag about the the Andy Griffith Show, but Andy
Oh
Griffith
my
was out, so
God.
they got Charles Bronson.
That's
Lord.
another one of my favorites ever is any Simpsons gag about Charles Bronson.
Yeah.
Because there were a ton of them. My favorite one being when one of them made a wrong turn and ended up in Bronson, Missouri.
Yes.
And
remember
it's
that.
just everybody in the town looks and sounds like Charles Bronson. And there's like a kid and his mom, and it's like, Mom, I want some ice cream. No dice. It's like,
Yeah.
like they're just doing Bronson back and forth. It kills me.
I'm not
It's
gonna
so
lie. I
good.
had to look up who Charles Bronson was because this show has been around for so long. I mean, that reference was dated for me, and then I
Yeah,
was
it
like,
was.
oh,
I
he was
mean-
in Once Upon a Time in the West, and then he was a big action guy in the
He was-
70s,
oh,
80s.
yeah.
And I was like, that makes sense. Now I'm seeing what they were after. So it was just perfect. And I think I'm enjoying watching what the Simpsons are watching on TV as much as I am watching this episode. Because we got the Charles Bronson thing, the Germans commercial, Lisa watching Itchy and Scratchy for
Reservoir
the
Yeah,
reservoir.
the reservoir.
Reservoir. Yeah.
Reservoir.
I was just in tears. Like I had forgotten all about Itchy and Scratchy, and I remember a game I played it was a Itchy and Scratchy game. I remember being bewildered at all the blood everywhere every time there was an Itchy and Scratchy anything. And I'm like, oh, that's why my mom probably didn't want me watching this. There's a lot of graphic heads getting chopped off and everything else, especially with Quentin Tarantino's reference. Which, by the way, Tarantino was offered to play himself in the show. That is not his voice. He turned it down because he didn't like the lines he was going to have to read, which were violence is everywhere in our society. It's even in breakfast cereal, and he just didn't like it. He said it was insulting. He's since been seen many times wearing his Simpsons character on a T-shirt, and
Amazing.
at one point in Kill Bill, the bride kills someone with a box of cereal. So they're pretty sure that he's cool with it after having seen the final product.
Yeah.
Which he should be. Like, they chop his head off at the
Right.
end. It's fine. It's not an anti-violence message.
No.
If
No.
anything, it's just like, what are we doing? We're cartoons. We can do anything we want.
That feels like one of those things where Tarantino didn't actually watch The Simpsons. He was like, "No,
Right.
thank you," and then he watched. It was like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not worthy."
Yeah. I
Please
should have
let me
been
come
a
on.
part of this.
Mm-hmm.
So Shary Bobbins getting drunk with Barney in the living room. The Simpsons kind of finally realized they've broken her. She is not.
We
who
broke
was.
her gentle spirit.
Yeah. Homer sings a song about not doing anything. We're happy just the way we are. Shut up, Flanders. And then she leaves. She flies off in her umbrella, and Bart says, "Will we ever see her again?" And
I'm sure we will.
in the background,
sure
she
we
gets
will.
chewed up by a jet turbine.
Yes.
Again, Simpsons at their best with just a great joke like that.
It's I mean, when it's a cartoon, you can do anything you want, and I don't think there's enough cartoons that take advantage of that. You know, a lot of cartoons will get stuck thinking, you know, or be a little bit easier with it. But no, they're just like, we're just gonna murder things. Like, why not? Let's just do that over and over. It seems fine. Nothing wrong with that. So that was our episode of The Simpsons. I did get a little bit of feedback on this one. I posted on Facebook, which I was excited about. I might have more. I haven't looked. You know, I do my homework ahead of time. But I did get a note from Joel Aaron. He's a fan of the show. Known him for a good long time. He said, I wasn't allowed to watch The Simpsons when I was little, and when we went for school shopping, we would always buy a ton of new shirts. Well, he says, I slipped in a Bart Simpson shirt, and I wasn't caught until my mom got a call from the school about my school picture. As apparently, I didn't know it was picture day, and I wore a Bart Simpson shirt that said, Hi, I'm Bart Simpson. Who the hell are you? Well done. Well done, Joel.
Well done indeed.
Yeah, that was pretty great. He says I still have the pictures somewhere, but that was some feedback. I tried to pose it
That's amazing.
in an effort to solicit more responses. I asked the question, like, first of all, were you allowed to watch it? And if you were a parent, did you let your kids watch it? And if so, why not? I got that, which is fine because Facebook never shows my friends anything I write, you know, because the algorithm hates us all.
They'll see it tomorrow.
I'll see it, yeah, when it doesn't matter anymore. And they've looked at every other ad.
Yeah, because I have a friend of mine that he tells me constantly, he's like, yeah, I see your go live stuff when you're streaming and everything, but I always see it 24 hours after you post it.
So stupid. I hate the internet so much. But yeah, that's the only feedback I got. But The Simpsons, seeing as it's still going on, anybody's rekindled their desire to watch it, Travis?
It is a show that, because it's on Disney Plus and it's kind of readily accessible, it is that kind of background show that I can throw on while I'm working on something and just have noise and be able to pay attention to here and there and remember, like, oh, this was a good episode, or go back and I do like to go back and watch the Treehouse of Horrors episodes. So yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, I think I even watched the Treehouse of Horrors episodes because it was always the Halloween episode and everybody had to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Or you were ostracized for not having known what happened.
Right.
Yeah, Amy, how about you?
So I back in spooky season, I did try to, because they had like the playlist of the Treehouse of Horrors. So I was like, oh yeah, I'll put that. I got through like a couple, and I was like, all right, I'm good.
Yeah.
I think I'm good. Although I did see, scrolling to this episode, there was the Alien Mr. Burns episode. I was like, I remember that one being pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'll watch that one.
Yeah.
But I think overall, I'm probably good on
You're
this.
set. You've watched. You've been topped up for a while. Got it. Perfect.
Yeah.
Audie, how about you? Are you watching any more of The Simpsons?
No, I think I'm pretty good. Like, this is one of those shows that just every once in a while a clip or something will come around and I'll watch it. And again, I tend to deep dive on the behind the scenes and the voices and stuff. So, I did a lot of that this weekend. So yeah, I'm probably good for right now. One more thing I got to mention, because it's one of those things where, like, did I remember this? Did I miss this? What? Watching the credits at the end, somehow it was not in my head before this time around. Danny Elfman wrote the theme song.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, that feels very
Like,
Danny Elfman. Now
Yeah.
that I'm thinking of it in my head because it lives there.
But for the rest of you out there who didn't know that, guess what? Danny Elfman wrote the theme song, and it was like
awesome.
I think I read that Matt Groening just, got a hold of him and was like, "Hey, you want to do this?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure."
That's
Like,
why it's so
wasn't
good.
like-
He's like a real yeah sure guy.
Yeah.
Like that's just the vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, this was at a time. What did I say? 89 is when it started. Like, I mean, he was doing things. But Batman came out in 89. Like there's nothing iconic yet from Danny Elfman that I know of, unless Pee Wee's Big Adventure had some iconic stuff going on in it. I'm pretty sure he did the music for that too. But I mean,
he did.
Yeah,
but I mean, he
the
had
Pee Wee
also,
theme.
he had been doing Oingo Boingo
oh yeah.
prior to that. So like,
not to
Beetlejuice
say he
came out
wasn't
in
busy.
88.
Beetlejuice, yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, okay, yeah, that was a good one. Basically, he and Tim Burton just rode in the same car for a while.
They did.
I mean, when you're a director, you get a music guy, they work together. It's why not?
I have this whole headcanon that it's Tim Burton and Helena Bonham Carter at the two ends of a very long table, and then in the middle across from each other are Danny Elfman and Johnny Depp. And so they just have
Sounds
yelled
about
conversations over dinner in big gothic chairs. It's my
That
headcanon.
sounds-
I
yeah,
can actually see that.
That works.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they seem like those kind of people. That'd be all right.
Sure.
Yeah, man. So we had The Simpsons. It was great. We enjoyed it. There's something I was thinking that was worth mentioning, and then I don't remember anymore. We're fine. We're good. We've talked this
Ay,
show to
caramba.
death. It's been enough. So with that, we are going to continue our musical march. And next week, Amy, what are we doing?
Okay. So this is one of my favorite music-based shows ever. It's also another one that is very much a my sister thing, like Laugh-In was. We're gonna watch an episode of the Monkees.
Oh, snap!
Nice.
All right,
love
now,
that show.
so we're watching season 1, episode 25, Alias Mickey Dolenz. It is a YouTube video. I went through, I clicked through it. I didn't watch the whole thing through. I clicked through it. Everything seemed okay. All the songs were in there. It wasn't backwards or 2 inches tall on a weird background. So I'm pretty sure it's okay. But if anything weird goes on, I'm sorry.
The Monkees. How many surviving monkey? We'll talk about it next week. It's gonna be great. I'm looking forward to this.
excited.
It's gonna be wonderful. Hey, well, it has been a joy hanging out with everybody. If you want to hang out with us more, you can come in over to our Discord. twodorks.net/Discord will get you in there. If you don't know what a Discord is, it's just a chat platform, man. It's great. It's not for specific people. You can get it on your phone. You can get it on your computer. You can get it anywhere. And you can chat with us and with all of our friends. And it's a great time. Highly recommended. twodorks.net/Discord. If you want to reach us out on the Twitters, you can go over there to @ThoseDaysShow and send us your thoughts and feedback. Also, you can send us emails to thosewerethedayshow@gmail.com. We love your emails. Your emails are great. And if you haven't done it, you should consider leaving a review for this podcast. It actually does help us out a lot. It's really good. You got to feed the algorithm. You got to throw a shovel full of hay and chocolate candy in there for it every now and then. So maybe, you get boosted. We'd love that. That'd be pretty cool. If you don't have any money, that's what you do. You just go type. Takes time. All right. Well, I will quit rambling and I will let us go. It has been a wonderful time, and we will see you next Monday, 9 p.m. Eastern time, for another episode of Those Were the Days. For me, for Travis, for Audie, for Amy, it's been great. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Eat my shorts, dude.
No!